Hello and welcome to the Muslim Viewpoint, a new video podcast series powered by the nonprofit national media platform American Muslim Today. I'm your host, Maya Gaylor, and today we are continuing our Get Out the Vote series. Joining us is May Lor Xiong, who is running for election as the Republican candidate for Minnesota's 4th Congressional District against incumbent Betty McCollum.
My name is May Lor Xiong, and I'm a refugee from Thailand. My parents fled communism from Laos, and then we were placed in a refugee camp in Thailand. I was born in the refugee camp, came here when I was 8 years old. I was a teacher teaching ESL to immigrant students for 20 years. I'm currently a real estate broker right now. I have 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls, and both of my boys served in the U.S. military. So the reason I'm running is I believe in the American dream, and I am a product of that American dream. We, came here when I was 8 years old. I grew up in a large family. My parents did not speak the language, so we grew up working really hard, stay in school, and we're able to achieve that American dream. And so this is something that I'm very passionate about, working with very diverse students in school and understanding that if you can help them achieve their goals and dreams, and that they'll be able to be successful here. And so I would like to preserve that.
So, in your campaign, you have mentioned your dissatisfaction with the incumbent Betty McCollum and her policies as a Democrat. So, if elected, what changes will you implement to better serve your community?
Betty McCollum has been in office for over 20 years, and she has abandoned the people in her district. This is a very, very diverse district, and she hasn't really implemented any policies or helped any community and her district. She is running on one single issue, and that is something that most Americans and most of her constituents are not concerned. They're concerned about not being able to pay their rent. They're concerned about safety in their community. They're concerned about their kids' education. And those are the type of issues that most of her constituents are concerned about. And those are the things that I believe that I will be able to help the district, and not just our district, but all across the country.
Right, and then can you tell us about your efforts to debate Representative McCollum and her response to your multiple requests?
So we want to debate her. We're trying to put in a request. I know that in the past, other candidates saying that she refused to debate them. We haven't really reached out and asked for it, but we want to. I'm working on hopefully working with different organizations to see if they can put in a debate. But I would like to challenge her. I would like to, ask her what has she done for her community, her district for the last 20 years, because not a lot of people know who she is. In fact, before I became politically active, I didn't even know who she was.
You mentioned she runs on one policy. Can you tell us what that one policy is, and then what specifically would you like to see happen?
Well, right now she's only run on women's reproductive rights. And right now I feel like it's a state issue. It's not a federal issue. At this point, we are out of the bedrooms. We don't need to be concerned about people's bedroom or people's house. In the state of Minnesota, most people voted for women's reproductive rights, and that is their right. What people are concerned right now, as I mentioned, inflation, the cost of living, education, crime, those are big issues. Those are issues that are a reality to most of us. I mean, I grew up, like I said, I grew up in a large family, grew up in poverty. I was able to, get to where I am today. But most of us are still struggling from paycheck to paycheck. We're still living in places where crime is high, and those are the things that I want to fight for. I want to make sure that every community is safe. We need to invest in our police force, so that way, not only in the rich suburbs can feel safe, but also in cities that are poverty and poor and more crime areas can also feel safe, because we do have women and children living in those areas. And we cannot just say, well, that's the way it is. It is not. We have to invest in our police force. We need to make sure that we bring safety to every neighborhood.
Right, thank you. And then moving on to kind of maybe more about you specifically, Ms. Xiong, how has your experience, you kind of touched on it already, but can you tell us more specifically how your experience as a refugee who has been awarded several opportunities, as you have said, in the United States, how does this give you an advantage in your political career and this congressional race?
Thank you. I believe that with my background and my experience, understanding growing up poor and understanding the opportunities that we have in this country. And what we have is an American privilege where a lot of immigrants, just like such as myself, come here for those type of opportunities. I worked most of my life and as public servant. Right before after I graduated from high school, I became a teacher assistant, and then after that, I was working part-time, working full-time while pursuing my degree. And once I graduated from college, I became a teacher. So literally, I never left the school system that I was in. I graduated, became a teacher assistant, and then became a teacher. I love working with a lot of the immigrant students. I was inspired by my ESL teacher when I came to this country where I didn't speak the language, and he really helped me. And so that was kind of a passion of mine to give back to the community, to make sure that immigrant students have that chance and they have someone to guide them and say, you can do it. I mean, language is not a barrier. You can learn the language and stay in school. And that's what I was also taught too, stay in school, and you can become anything you want and be successful and be who you want to be. And so that's kind of like my background, is that being a public servant, understanding the diverse communities that we have here.
I feel like this is a good time to ask, and I'm sure maybe you've probably had this question before, but as we kind of know historically and more recently, the Republican Party has, kind of alienated immigrants and women through some of their policies. So what makes you so confident in calling the Republican Party your political home?
I used to be a Democrat. I grew up as a Democrat, and being a minority, being a woman, you automatically just assume that Democrat is the party for you. There's the party that embraced diversity, embraced women, embraced, immigrants. But for so many years, you live under their rule, especially in our district. It's very blue. And they promise you all these things, and it's like for 40, 50 years under them, we haven't prospered. We haven't succeeded. In fact, they think that they need to lower the standards for students of color because they cannot meet the standards. Now, I don't know if you feel that's racist or not, but I feel that's racist. I feel like every child is capable of learning. We do not need to lower the standard for a student of color or anybody. I mean, what we need to do right now is we need to make sure that we have high expectations for our students so that every single one can learn and can be successful. For many years, I believe that. And now, and I did not do my research about the Republican. I just assumed and heard and, hear stories and assuming that, yes, they're racist, they're this and that. But when I actually got down to do research and to talk to Republican and kind of like go into the Republican Party to see if they are racist and if they are what I've known them to be, and they're not. I mean, they embraced me. When I ran in 2022, I thought, oh my gosh, like I'm a minority, I'm Asian, I don't know if anybody will even endorse me. In fact, I got 70% people that endorsed me in my district, and so I look at my values, family, hardworking, patriotic. I mean, my values align with theirs, and at this time, I feel like this is the party for me. This is the party where it will get America back to where we need to be.
Right, and as a member of the Republican Party, what are your thoughts on the presidential debate that went on last night, specifically the Republican presidential nominee, Donald Trump, making inflammatory and false claims about Haitian immigrants eating cats and dogs? I mean, that he's still kind of making claims and spouting these fear-mongering type rhetorics. Do you think he is a good, beneficial choice as president for everyone, also including immigrants and women, of course?
I cannot comment on what he says about that because I don't know if there's any, strong factual information on that. And so I'm not going to comment on what his comment is. But I believe that in 2016, when he was a president, his policy worked for everybody. Can I say, yes, sometimes his speech, or maybe he can also work on his speech, maybe, but his policy works. He's actually the president that signed a bill to protect women, to protect victims of violence. And also, I say that my Hmong community, we were the secret soldiers that fought with the American and Laos, and that's why we came to this country. For over 40 years, we were not recognized as American soldiers, and many of the Hmong soldiers, veterans, uh, even to this day, they do not receive the benefits as American veterans. And when he became president, he was actually the first president in over 40 years to sign a bill to recognize Hmong veterans as American veterans. And my hope is that when I get in office, that we could, get a bill to pass so that way they can receive the benefits that they truly deserve.
Yeah, and then moving on to education, you mentioned it earlier, and education is an important aspect of not just the Islamic community, because we value family values as well, but your campaign specifically mentions school choice, which has become slightly controversial as proposals for school vouchers do threaten to take away from public school funding, which is already quite limited in many states, especially here in Texas. So really, our audience would just like to know what your plan would be to promote not just quality education, but equal opportunity education as well.
Yes, we do want the best education for our children. If I was a parent, like I said, I grew up in public education. My kids grew up in a public education. I still believe in public education. However, if you live in a poor area where they don't have the best quality of education, and you want to be able to give them that opportunity. I mean, school choice is important for parents. Parents should have an opinion, and they should have the rights to decide where their kids go to school, because they know their kids better. They know what school fits their needs. You can't just say they live in this area, so therefore they're going to be stuck there. You can't afford to live in rich, areas where there's better education. We need to make sure that we give them that choice, that option. And so, school vouchers, school choice for children, for parents and for children, I truly, offer that. We want equal opportunities. We want equal education. Then parents and children should have that choice.
And moving on to our last question, which is broader, more global. Minnesota is home to more than 100,000 Muslims, many of whom would not agree with a second Trump presidency due to his loyalty to Israel and its Prime Minister, Benjamin Netanyahu, as well as his insensitive comments earlier after the October 7th attacks. What are your thoughts on, the violence that is going on in Gaza and the Biden administration's support for these mass killings that are happening of innocent civilians, including children, which has now been estimated at 186,000 deaths, which is a big jump from the previous 41,000. Yeah, so just kind of what are your thoughts on what the U.S. federal government should be doing? How should they be involved? How should they be helping to stop this?
I think with my background coming from a war-torn country, I understand war sucks. I mean, it torn families apart. It displaces families. It destroys countries and peace. And what we need to do right now is to help these two states become, to get them at the table and to talk peace. Because at the end, nobody wins. The people that are losing are the women and children. They're the ones that are suffering. They're the ones that are dying. They're the ones that are being killed here. And as a woman and as a mother, I feel their pain. And so what we need to do is to make sure that we help them come in terms to peace and ceasefire and rebuild their states.
Thank you so much for joining us today, Ms. Xiong. I don't have any further questions for you unless you just wanted to add anything about yourself or your campaign.
Yes, I know that my area is very blue, and but a lot of people, that I've talked to, we're just a campaign. We go from door to door. We don't have a lot of money, but we are just all about the people. We're all about fighting and preserving the American dream and fighting for our liberty. And so I hope that people will see that and understand that and will vote for me in November. We definitely do need a different voice in Washington, D.C.